What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update with Brian. Tottenham on tour once again. Go and smash that subscriber button over on another great Tottenham channel. But we've got a few things to talk about today, and let's start off with the manager situation, as per usual. How did you guess, Daigle? How did you guess? We've got some news from Gary Jacob, David Heitner and Marco Conterio. First, we'll start with Gary Jacob, and he says Daniel Levy will oversee finding his 12th permanent manager in 22 years because Fabio Paratici's future as a managing director is increasingly uncertain. He also says Mauricio Pochettino has made it clear that he is interested in returning to his old role at Tottenham. And he also said Luis Enrique would be very interested if Tottenham were to approach him. David Heitner says the cleanest and favoured scenario is for Conte to departure to come at the end of the campaign, although the board may act before if the situation worsens. Tottenham will discuss the merits of Mauricio Pochettino and Thomas Tuchel as the potential managerial successor of Antonio Conte, with whom the club are set to part company with. And Marco Conterio says that Daniel Levy has been in contact with Mauricio Pochettino for the last 2 months over a return to Tottenham. However, the Argentine is waiting to see if the Real Madrid job becomes available. So, out of that, we've got Pochettino has made it clear he wants to return. Pochettino is waiting for the Real Madrid job. Luis Enrique is interested in joining Tottenham. And Antonio Conte, the only thing that's kind of unanimous in that is that Conte will be leaving at some point from now until the end of the season.
Yeah, but what really stands out to me on that one is yesterday we were talking about Paratici's making a list of suitable managers. And the very first thing you said was Daniel Levy is now overtaking looking for the manager because Paratici won't be here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, this club and the news and ITKs and journalists and everything. I really don't want Levy looking for the new manager. I really don't, because he's had great success with all the other ones he's done. Well,
the one that he did have success with was Mauricio Pochettino.
Yes, but
so maybe he'll make it two out of 12.
Yeah, but that was after he didn't get Louis van Gaal, wasn't it? So it was a stumble on. But listen, it's just another merry-go-round circus of the things that happen at Tottenham Hotspur. I think the thing that you can take from it, like you said at the end, is I think one thing is for damn sure is Antonio Conte will not be the Spurs manager come the first game of next season. It's just of a case of, is he the manager of the last game of this season?
Yeah, well, that's definitely up in the air. But what's interesting to me is Gary Jacobs saying that Luis Enrique would be open to the Tottenham job if we did approach him. Luis Enrique is a guy whose philosophy is very much in line with the Barcelona way of playing tiki-taka football, high-pressing football, very attacking football. And I would be very excited to see him through the door. I think Pochettino would probably still be my number one choice. But Luis Enrique, I think it's a risk as well because he hasn't managed in club football for a while now since he did have that Barcelona job. Done a really good job with Spain, in my opinion. And I think it would be one to maybe excite the fans for sure.
It may be, but when you're saying that, I was just thinking I had this vision of, like when I get stressed out when Lloris is playing it out from the back and all that. Can you imagine tiki-taka football with Dyer and Dyer and people like that? Dyer Davies, listen, he would be someone that would excite. There's a lot of people here saying they want to just see attacking football and see us playing good football. I think Luis Enrique definitely brings that.
Yeah, well, again, we'll have to see how the merry-go-round goes round, and where does it stop? Nobody knows. We'll see. But let's go to our next news update, and that is regarding Ivan Perisic. And Marco Balzaghi is saying that Ivan Perisic wants a summer return to Inter Milan, seeing as Conte's future is up in the air. It kind of makes sense, to be honest. And I, for one, look, I think that with Perisic, I'm happy to see the back of him. I think that he did do good work in his early stages here at Tottenham, but I just feel like if we're going to move to a back four, I mean, what place does he have in the team? Let's be honest. And right now, he's not doing it as well at left wing back. So I think that the age he's at, I just think there's no point of him being in the Premier League anymore, and probably going back to Italy is the right move for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been fairly vocal saying I really thought this was going to be like a stupendous signing and one that will be highly spoken of at this time in the season. and it just hasn't worked out. It just hasn't worked out. And I think looking at his age and his body, and we've seen that the pace of the Premier League's getting to him. The Italian league is, I think, the pace that suits a player of his age and what he's asked to do. So we'll even get a fee for him, won't we? Because I think it's a 2-year contract.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll be much.
Yeah, I think it will probably be just happy to cut a lot
ties.
of guys on big wages, man.
That's
big
true.
Wages. So
That's true. Maybe it'll be that.
he's on about 180k a week or something like that.
Jesus.
So I think that if you let him go for free, get the wages off the wage bill, I think that's a win.
Yeah, I right now, as much as I hate to say it, I agree, because I really wanted this one to work out.
Next up, Harry Kane. Following on from the story we brought you yesterday, Samuel Luckhurst, who's quite reliable for Manchester United news, says that Harry Kane is Erik ten Hag's prime striker target to reinforce Man United's attack in the summer. Sources claim that Ten Hag is intent on signing the Spurs forward.
Yeah, this one seems to be gathering pace, unfortunately, doesn't it? Not only with Man U looking for a striker, but with the way the demise of what's going on at Tottenham and out the cups and top 4 up for grabs. Last year of his contract, unfortunately, all the maths equations in this are all added up to 2 and 2 equals 4, doesn't it? Unfortunately, I'm very, very concerned about this. Really concerned. And if we don't win tomorrow, it's going to put more speculation on here, isn't it? More petrol on the fire.
I think the more doubts that come into Tottenham Hotspur with the future of Antonio Conte, us not being even in the Champions League next year, his comments about how we weren't good enough over the 2 legs against Milan and how we've gone out the cups this year. I think it all just makes sense, to be honest. It's the only thing that's keeping him here is Daniel Levy not accepting a bid, really. That's literally the only thing that's going to be keeping him here this summer, in my opinion. And I think that when I'm looking at it, will we let him go to an English club this summer? I think only for a monstrous bid, to be honest. I think that if a bid was to come in from around Europe, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, somewhere like that, I think we'd accept something smaller. But I think if a bid comes in from the likes of Man United or Chelsea, I think it will take a monstrous offer, even in the last year of his contract, for them to accept it.
I think you're right, but then what you've got to look at with it is the longer and longer it drags on. If that number doesn't get hit and he comes to the end of August and he ain't happy, obviously it's the last year of contract, we can pretty much assume he's going for free. And when you work out the financial package we could get for him going in the last year, where do you say, if it's 100 million and we get an 85 million pound bid, does Daniel Levy say, no, I want 100, or risk losing 85 mil 9 months down the road?
Yeah, I mean, Levy will probably look at it being like, oh, it's another year to be able to convince him to stay. That might be his way of thinking, and he might be silly enough to think that he can, bring him round to that thinking. And especially if, like, maybe we bring in Pochettino and you start seeing the football get really better and you start maybe going on a few runs in the Cup next season, maybe he thinks he can convince him.
But the one problem is, if he thinks he can convince him, all the cards are in Harry Kane's hand all of a sudden, because if he can't convince him, he'll just say, thanks a lot, bye-bye, I'm walking for free. So,
but it's also could become a situation where in January, a team could pick him up.
Like Ericsson.
Yeah, like Ericsson did, because if you wait till the end of the season, there'll be a lot of clubs trying to go for him for free, where someone could steal the march in January and get him for maybe 30, 40 million, something like that.
There is that. This is a real roll of the dice. And one thing we know Daniel Levy does, and sometimes he does it well. Sometimes he does do this well, is playing poker, but this time he does not have the cards.
Well, we'll have to see how this one plays out. But Manchester United are interested in Harry Kane, and Ten Hag apparently is intent on signing the Tottenham striker. Last but not least, we're going to talk about Richarlison, as Dan Kilpatrick says that Tottenham are expected to consider that one again. Expected to consider whether it would be appropriate to discipline Richarlison over his post-match comments after the AC Milan game. To jog your memory, he said, "I'm honest, this season has been shit. I want to play. I didn't understand Conte's choices. I was in a positive moment and Conte put me on the bench again. Yesterday he tested me in the starting 11, and then, he said to me I would be in the starting 11, and then I was on the bench again." And Conte hit back in his press conference today and said, "I watched Richarlison's interview. He didn't criticise me. He said my season is shit, and he's right. When you speak of I and not us, you are being selfish. It was a mistake," and he apologised. So first of all, do you think that Richarlison was right to say what he did? Do you think it was right for Conte to hit back like he did? And do you think it's right for the club to give him disciplinary action?
Oh, this is it. So first of all, for him, you got to remember, these questions are fired at these players. What, within an hour of the game or 50, whenever they have these interviews?
It's in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, their emotions and their mood and their mental health, whatever. It's all part and parcel of this. If they get asked the question at the wrong time, they can easily say something and then go, "Oops, I didn't mean to." But he's come out and said it. We look at when Tim Sherwood came out and spoke, or when players do this. Sometimes you like it because you're like, yes, he's talking the truth, and yes, this could help. But then there's other people that look at it and go, why has he spoken up against the club? I'm more on, I would say, on Richarlison's side, this side, and that's just because he's voiced it. It shows that he's determination, eager to play. But Conte's right with his form, but he hasn't had the chance. And when it comes to disciplining them, he's going to get disciplined.
Yeah, I kind of feel sympathy for both of them, to be honest. I think it's wrong for a player to come out and speak about the manager and question the manager like that in the open press. I think these things should be kept behind closed doors, and he should be knocking on Conte's door and saying these things to his face instead of saying it in the press. And I kind of understand Conte as well, the way he said, he hasn't been good enough. But the fact of the matter is he hasn't had enough chances, and Richarlison is right to feel frustrated. And but like I said, he shouldn't be coming out in an open press and speaking like that about the manager. And I think Conte, as much as he's in the wrong for the way he's handled the Richarlison situation, 60 million signing, and he's not getting nowhere near enough playtime. I think both of them are in the wrong and both of them are in the right, which is a really strange way to look at it.
Where you're coming from.
I don't know. It's a hard one. I think that, like I said, Richarlison shouldn't be coming out. Conte probably shouldn't even be responding to it in the press. These things should be just behind closed doors. And I think if the club want to discipline Richarlison, they're probably right. They're probably right to, because he shouldn't be speaking like that in the press.
And also, you got to remember, sticking out for the club here. If they don't discipline him, and then someone else does something, and they do discipline him, and they're like, well, why can Richarlison say this and I can't, or do this or do that? I think you're talking like you said with Conte. Conte could have said as well, he could have turned around and said, right, Richarlison said this, but what we do now is keep it in-house. But like you said, he's responded to it. So you're right, sympathy for both.
The fact of the matter is that the two things that are completely correct in this is that Richarlison has been shit. So
yeah,
they're both in agreement of that, that's for sure.
Exactly.
But look, it's not a great situation, and you don't like to see the dirty laundry being aired in public, especially between manager and a new £60 million signing. But the fact of the matter is as well, Conte ain't going to be here for much longer, and Richarlison's probably going to outstay Conte at this football club. So we'll see how it all plans out. But that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding any of the news stories we brought to you today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on you Spurs.